When did the family who called you a monster come crawling back for help? When I was 22, I got diagnosed with autism. My family's reaction? Pure disgust. My mom said I was just making excuses for being antisocial. Dad called it trendy victim nonsense. My sister Emma told everyone I was faking it for attention and said I'd always been a manipulative freak who ruined family gatherings. The breaking point was Christmas dinner 2019. They staged an intervention. "Stop this autism act," Mom said, her voice dripping with contempt. "You're embarrassing the family. People at church are starting to talk." When I tried explaining my diagnosis, showing them the official paperwork from 3 different specialists, Dad slammed his fist on the table so hard the wine glasses shook. "You're not disabled. You're just lazy and weird. Always have been. Get out of my house and don't come back until you drop this victim act." Emma nodded along enthusiastically. "You've been milking this victim thing since high school. Everyone sees through it. Just grow up and act normal for once." Uncle Mark chimed in. "In my day, we didn't have all these made-up conditions, so I left that night. Packed my Honda and drove 2,000 miles to Colorado. Used my autism hyperfocus to master day trading. Spent 16 hours a day studying market patterns, algorithmic trading, cryptocurrency fluctuations, something my brain was actually wired for. Made serious money. 6 figures in year 1, 7 figures by year 3. Bought a house in the mountains. Perfect silence. Cut all contact. Blocked their numbers. Started therapy with a specialist who actually understood autism. Built a life where being different was an advantage. For 4 years, I heard nothing. Perfect peace. Fast forward to last month. Unknown number calls at 6 a.m. Emma's voice completely destroyed. "Please don't hang up," she sobbed. "I know we don't deserve this, but Jake was just diagnosed. Severe autism. Level 3 support needs. Nonverbal. He's having violent meltdowns every day, hitting himself until he bleeds. The school kicked him out. CPS is threatening to remove him." My nephew, 6 years old. The irony was suffocating. The doctors say he needs intensive therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, specialized schools. Insurance is calling it experimental and won't cover any of it. We're looking at $12,000 a month minimum. We don't have that kind of money. Tom lost his job because he keeps missing work for appointments. Then Mom got on the phone. "The same woman who called me a manipulative freak. We know we were wrong about you," she whispered, barely audible. "We didn't understand what autism really meant. We thought you were just being difficult. Can you help? You're the only one who knows about this stuff." The desperation was real, but so was the memory of Dad's fist hitting that table. I could have said no, should have said no. Instead, I heard myself saying, "I'll be there tomorrow." Flew out the next morning, walked into their house to find complete chaos. Holes punched in walls from Jake's meltdowns. Windows covered with cardboard because he'd broken them. Emma looked like she hadn't slept in weeks. Dark circles under her eyes, hands shaking from stress. Jake was in the corner, rocking violently and hitting his head against the wall. The same stimming behaviors I had as a kid that they'd punished me for. I spent 3 weeks there, teaching them everything I'd learned about myself. How to handle meltdowns without restraining him, just creating safe spaces and waiting it out. Which therapies actually work versus the expensive scams. How to communicate using picture cards and sign language. How to make the house sensory-friendly with weighted blankets, noise-canceling headphones, fidget toys. Most importantly, how to love him exactly as he is instead of trying to fix him. I also researched the best autism specialists in their state, made appointments with developmental pediatricians who had 6-month waiting lists, found support groups for parents, connected them with other autism families, and I cut them a check for $150,000 to cover Jake's treatment for the next 3 years. As I was leaving for the airport, Emma grabbed my arm with tears streaming down her face. "How can you help us after what we did? We called you a monster. We said you were faking. We kicked you out of the family for being exactly what Jake is." I looked back at Jake, who was finally calm, playing with the sensory toys I'd brought him. The same kind that would have helped me as a kid if anyone had bothered to notice I was struggling. Because he deserves better than the family I had. Dad tried to apologize as my Uber pulled up. 20 years of damage in a 2-minute speech. I just said, "Take care of Jake. Don't make the same mistakes twice." The driver asked if I was okay as we pulled away. I was watching my nephew through the window, finally being understood. "Yeah," I said. "I think I finally am."